The illusion of reality. Chapter 1: The alluring escape. In the heart of a sprawling megacity, where neon lights clashed with the stark grey of endless skyscrapers, Alex navigated the shadowed alleyways with a sense of purpose that belied his youthful appearance. The air was thick with the scent of rain on concrete, a faint aroma that battled against the more overpowering smells of exhaust and overpopulation. His footsteps echoed in the damp corridor between towering buildings, a rhythmic reminder of his solitude in this urban jungle. Alex, known in the darker corners of the cyberworld as Echo, wasn't your typical streetwise youth. His domain was the digital realm, a world where he wielded power with a deftness that many seasoned hackers envied. But in the real world, his slight frame and unassuming demeanor made him almost invisible, a trait he had learned to exploit in a city that valued anonymity above all else. On this particular night, a sense of restlessness drove him. The digital screens that plastered the cityscape around him flickered with advertisements for the latest craze, virtual reality, VR, experience that promised an escape from the drudgery of everyday life. Alex scoffed at the idea. To him, the real and digital worlds were already indistinguishable. Yet, something about the grandiose promises of this new VR piqued his interest. It wasn't the advertised escapism that intrigued him, it was the challenge of uncovering what lay beneath the glossy veneer. With a practiced hand, Alex retrieved a small, illegally modified VR headset from his backpack. It was a compact piece of technology, but to Alex, it was a key to a different realm. He found a secluded spot, an abandoned building that had once been a high-end apartment complex but now stood as a hollowed relic of better times. Settling amidst the ruins, Alex slipped the headset over his eyes. The transition was immediate. The dull greys and oppressive architecture of the megacity gave way to a vibrant, pulsating world that defied the laws of physics and logic. Here, in this digital landscape, the limitations of the human body were irrelevant. Alex's avatar moved with a grace and speed that his physical form could never achieve. He explored this new world with a mixture of awe and skepticism. Towering structures of light and sound, landscapes that shifted and reformed at will, it was a hacker's dream and a paradise for those seeking an escape from the harsh realities of the city. But as Alex delved deeper, something felt off. The environment was too perfect, the interactions too scripted. It was as if the entire world was performing for its audience, a show put on to distract from something lurking just out of sight. It was then that he saw it, a glitch in the otherwise seamless facade. A fleeting shadow, a distortion in the code. To anyone else, it would have gone unnoticed. But to Alex, it was a siren's call. This wasn't just a sophisticated game, there was something more behind this digital utopia. His heart raced with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Here, in this world of illusion, Alex sensed a mystery that went deeper than mere code and pixels. It was a puzzle that beckoned to his very soul, a challenge he couldn't resist. And so, with the city's neon glow a distant memory, Alex set forth into the depths of the VR world, determined to uncover its secrets. Chapter 2: Unraveling the Fabric. In the digital expanse of the VR world, Alex, now more a denizen than a visitor, moved with a purpose that belied his earlier curiosity. Each day, as the sun dipped below the horizon of the megacity, he would eagerly don his VR headset, diving into the pixelated paradise that offered more questions than answers. This world, once a mere escape, had become an obsession. The more time Alex spent in VR, the more he noticed peculiarities, small glitches in the scenery, characters that repeated the same actions with mechanical precision, conversations that felt eerily scripted. It was as though the entire world was on a loop, a well-orchestrated show hiding something sinister beneath its surface. One evening, as he traversed a virtual marketplace bustling with avatars, Alex witnessed an impossibility. A character, an old man selling virtual artifacts, suddenly froze mid-sentence, his image flickering like a faulty hologram before vanishing entirely, leaving behind a floating, cryptic symbol that seemed out of place in the game's aesthetic. This anomaly was the catalyst for Alex's deeper investigation. He began to probe the underpinnings of the VR world, using his hacking skills to peel back layers of code. The more he uncovered, the more he realized that this was no ordinary game. There were patterns in the code, deliberate designs that suggested manipulation and control. Night after night, Alex delved into the digital realm, his real-world existence fading to a mere backdrop. The VR world was a puzzle, and he was determined to solve it. But with each discovery, the anomalies grew more frequent, more disturbing. Characters started to behave erratically, landscapes began to distort, and Alex felt a growing sense of unease. It became apparent that this virtual paradise was a facade, a digital mirage masterminded by an unseen puppeteer. The realization hit Alex like a wave: this VR world wasn't just a game, it was a tool, a means to an end that extended far beyond entertainment. With this revelation, a resolve settled over Alex. He was no longer a passive participant in this digital world, he was now its challenger, determined to uncover the truth behind these manipulations. The line between his virtual and real life blurred, but his mission was clear. He would expose the forces controlling this world and reveal their true intentions, no matter the cost. The game was over, and the real challenge had just begun. Chapter 3: The Sinister Truth. Alex's nights were consumed by the glow of his computer screen, his fingers dancing across the keyboard as he unraveled the digital tapestry of the VR world. The virtual marketplace anomaly had been just the beginning. As he delved deeper, the fabric of the VR world unraveled, revealing the sinister machinations of a corporation known only as Omnitech. Each discovery peeled back another layer of deceit. Omnitech had designed the VR world not just for escapism, but for control. They manipulated users' experiences to influence their thoughts, emotions, and, ultimately, their actions in the real world. The VR was a testing ground for a new form of subliminal advertising, behavioral modification, and social engineering. The revelation hit Alex like a physical blow. He had always known the digital world was full of shadows and deceptions, but this was a betrayal of a different magnitude. The VR world that had promised freedom was just another cage, albeit one with digital bars. Rage simmered within Alex, a burning fury against the corporate giants who played gods with people's lives. He realized that the escapism he had once sought was a farce, a digital lullaby sung by those seeking to exploit the vulnerable. It was no longer just a game for Alex. It was a fight for freedom, freedom from manipulation, from the unseen shackles that Omnitech sought to place on humanity. He couldn't let them win, couldn't let them turn people into puppets in their grand, twisted play. His resolve hardened into action. Alex began to assemble a digital arsenal, tools, and programs he had created or acquired over his years in the cyber underground. He was Echo, a whisper in the digital wind, but he would become a roar against the might of Omnitech. He knew the risks. Challenging a corporation of Omnitech's magnitude was akin to a mouse roaring at a lion. But Alex had something they didn't: the truth. And in a world built on lies, the truth was the most powerful weapon of all. So, as the city slept, oblivious to the digital storm brewing in its heart, Alex prepared for battle. It would be a battle fought in the shadows of the VR world, a cyber battle against an enemy that wielded more power than he could imagine. But he was not afraid. For the first time in his life, Alex knew exactly what he had to do. The stage was set, the players ready. Alex, the disillusioned hacker, against Omnitech, the faceless corporation. The battle lines were drawn in lines of code and digital landscapes, but the stakes were very real. This was no longer just Alex's fight, it was a fight for the soul of a society sleepwalking into digital servitude. With a final keystroke, Alex initiated the sequence that would catapult him into the heart of Omnitech's VR empire. He donned his headset, ready to face whatever digital demons lay ahead. The fight for freedom had begun, and Alex was its unlikely champion. Chapter 4: The Cyber Battle. In the pulsating heart of the virtual world, Alex, known as Echo in the cyber realms, stood ready for the battle that would define his existence. The VR landscape around him was a chaotic blend of digital constructs and fragmented realities, a perfect backdrop for the war he was about to wage against Omnitech's formidable AI defenses. Alex's fingers flew over his keyboard in the real world, while his avatar mirrored his actions with equal fervor. The digital landscape around him shifted and morphed, responding to his every command. He was no longer just a player in the VR world, he was its master, bending the digital environment to his will. The first wave of AI defenses came in the form of security programs, coded sentinels that moved with lethal precision. Alex countered with his own custom scripts, breaking down their defenses with a hacker's grace. Each line of code he wrote was a strike against the digital guardians, a dance of destruction in the virtual realm. But Omnitech had not risen to its position by underestimating its adversaries. The AI adapted quickly, its responses becoming more unpredictable, more aggressive. The digital sky of the VR world darkened, mirroring the growing intensity of the battle. Alex found himself dodging virtual attacks that mirrored real-world cyber threats, malware, phishing traps, and exploits designed to disable his control. But he was undeterred. With each attack, he adapted, his resolve hardening. The climax of the battle approached as Alex reached the core of Omnitech's VR control center, a fortress of data and code. Here, he launched his final assault, a barrage of hacking techniques aimed at dismantling the RE's core. The digital world trembled around him, the very fabric of the VR environment fracturing under the strain of their battle. With a final, decisive keystroke, Alex unleashed a powerful script that infiltrated the RE's defenses, disseminating the evidence of Omnitech's manipulations across the virtual and real worlds. The information spread like wildfire, an unstoppable torrent of truth that engulfed the VR landscape. In the real world, the impact was immediate. Screens across the city flickered to life, displaying the damning evidence against Omnitech. People stopped in their tracks, their eyes wide with shock and disbelief as they absorbed the reality of the deception that had been played on them. The megacity, once a bastion of Omnitech's power, erupted into chaos. Protests broke out in the streets, a tidal wave of anger and rebellion against the corporation that had sought to control their minds and lives. Alex watched from his vantage point in the virtual world, his heart heavy with the knowledge of the turmoil he had unleashed. But amidst the chaos, there was a sense of awakening, a collective realization of the power that lay in the truth. Alex had started a revolution, not just against Omnitech but against the very notion of digital subjugation. The battle was over, but the war for freedom had just begun. Chapter 5, A New Reality. The city was in turmoil. Alex, once a shadow in the digital world, now stood at the epicenter of a societal upheaval. The revelations he had unleashed resonated through every street and alleyway, vibrating in the very air of the megacity. Screens that once displayed Omnitech's propaganda now flickered with the undeniable truth of their manipulation. The VR world, once an escape, had been revealed as a cage. People ripped off their headsets, their eyes wide with the shock of betrayal. The digital paradise had lost its allure, replaced by a newfound awareness of the real world's stark reality. Alex watched from his apartment, his heart heavy with the weight of what he had done. He had torn down the veil of ignorance, but at what cost? The city was in chaos, a mirror to the tumult in his own soul. He wondered if he had been right to reveal the truth, to shatter the illusion that had given so much false comfort. The lines between the virtual and the real had blurred irreversibly. In exposing Omnitech, Alex had also exposed how intertwined their lives had become with the digital realm. People had to confront the reality that their thoughts, their desires, and even their identities had been influenced by the very technology they had embraced. But amidst the chaos, there was a spark of something new, a sense of empowerment. Alex's actions had awakened a collective strength, a realization that they were more than just passive consumers of digital fantasies. The people of the megacity were reclaiming their reality, their right to shape their own lives. In the days that followed, protests erupted against Omnitech. The corporation's towering headquarters, once a symbol of unassailable power, now stood besieged by the very people it had sought to control. The streets became a canvas for their anger and hope, a tangible representation of their fight for autonomy. Alex remained a silent observer, his role in this new world uncertain. He had started a revolution, but he was no leader. He was a hacker, a truth-seeker, and now, a catalyst for change. His battle had been in the shadows of the VR world, but the fight that ensued belonged to the people. As the city reshaped itself in the aftermath of his revelations, Alex pondered the nature of reality. The digital world he had once mastered now seemed like a distant dream, a fleeting illusion in the vast tapestry of human experience. The story of the megacity and its awakening was far from over. But Alex's part in it had reached its conclusion. He had torn down the walls of deception, and now it was time for him to step back into the shadows, a silent guardian of the truth in a world forever changed. In the end, the megacity was left with a question that echoed in the minds of all its inhabitants: what is reality? It was a question without an easy answer, a puzzle that each person would have to solve in their own way. For in the aftermath of the illusion, the only certainty was the uncharted future that lay ahead.